Hey friends, happy Wednesday, the 20th of March. It's nice to be with you. I'm Father Bill Hill, priest at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. I'll share with you a reflection on today's readings. The readings are linked down below in the sidebar on Instagram in the bio. After I'm done, go ahead and read the readings prayerfully and then turn off the screen. Spend some time with God in silence and prayer before you move on to other things. This week is our last regular week of Lent. Of course, Saturday night and Sunday we're going to gather and we're going to do Palm Sunday. And then we'll be in Holy Week. So I hope that your Lent is going well. Good or bad, it continues apace. Am I right? Okay, we have a reading from the book of Daniel along with the psalm response and then John's gospel. So, Daniel, we have examples of faith. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, the three young men thrown into the fiery furnace. Examples of people of faith, young people even, but people of faith who would prefer to die than to violate their conscience, violate the teachings of their ancestors, and worship idols and false gods. And so instead they're thrown into the white hot furnace. I think towards the end is the real place that I'd invite you to pray. There are four figures in the furnace. God has sent angels to take, or an angel to take care of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. And especially as I was praying with angels, I was thinking about Jesus in the desert, Jesus in the wilderness, and the angels who ministered to him. And we are in the desert with Jesus. We are letting go of the things of this world to become truly free, as we'll hear about in the gospel. And the angels are serving us, are ministering to us. Perhaps in our prayer, it might not just be about Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. It might not just be about Jesus in the wilderness, but how has God ministered to us, to our needs? How has God taken care of us in these Lenten days? May we see the goodness, the care, the generosity, and the blessings of our God and be able simply to say, thank you. The psalm response, well, technically it's not a psalm, it's a canticle. It comes from the book of Daniel. Words on the lips of the three young men. Our response is glory and praise forever. But as it goes through it, giving praise and glory for all of the good things that God has done in the history of the people, and remembering how God had taken care of the ancestors and how God was going to take care of them, the three young men. Perhaps we just sit in that place of glory and praise, worship and adoration for all that God has done. Gospel of John. An argument between Jesus and religious leadership about freedom and about what it means to be a child of Abraham. I will point out one interesting feature, and then I'll give you something to pray with. Towards the end of this reading, we hear that Jesus is mocked, right? We were not born of fornication, it is said. Generally, that's seen by historical scholars as an indication that the irregularity of Jesus' birth perhaps was even known in his own time. That, religious authorities are accusing Jesus' parents of irregular marriage stuff and, procreation of a child outside of the context of marriage. Just an interesting sort of a feature. Be mindful of that, right? It's like, oh, Jesus walked through this life and life was so easy and everything else. I mean, man, can you imagine having that kind of stuff thrown in your face as you're having a conversation about God and about religion? They could definitely mix it up in the time of Jesus. Here's what I want you to pray with. Towards the beginning of this, we hear, you will truly be my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Those are fairly famous words of the gospel. Where perhaps are we struggling with truth? Where are we confused? Where do we not understand? Simply to turn to the Lord and to ask the Lord for strength and help and understanding. Be mindful. I try to say this with some regularity, but we have the greatest intellectual tradition in all of Christendom, all of Christianity. Some others might choose to argue with me. Maybe it's just one of the, but we have incredible minds who have thought, pondered, contemplated, and attempted to explain the mysteries of the Christian faith and how they connect with our understanding of whatever our present age is. If you are struggling with the intellectual conceptualization of your faith, don't be afraid. Like, the big questions have already been asked. Feel free to ask and wrestle with the big questions. The truth will set you free, right? A little bit later on, Jesus says, if the Son frees you, then you will be truly free. Be mindful. In our Catholic context, when we think about freedom, we're not thinking about it in the same way as the American context. In America, when we think about freedom, it's especially about freedom of choice and agency. I want A and not B. If I have 20 options, I'm more free than if I only have 2 or 1. I always joke that, like, Burger King is the most excellent example of the American conceptualization of freedom, right? Have it your way. And what do they say? Oh, there are 1,284,000 different combinations of ways for you to, make your Whopper unique. Yes, apparently your priest is highly susceptible to hamburger marketing, right? That's an American conception of freedom. That's not what we understand Jesus is talking about. Freedom for us is an interior freedom. The disposition of heart to do A or B, and to discern which is the true thing that God calls me to, and to not have particular attachments to sin or to other needs, and to be able to do whatever it is that God is calling us to, right? Like, that's true freedom. To be able to let go of attachments, dispositions, orientations of heart, and to be able to really be free. So perhaps we pray into this reality. The Lord asking for, the ability to turn away from sin, to turn away from inclinations of evil, to really be present and available today, this day, healed and whole, in order to live the call of God in whatever that might be. That's the freedom that we really celebrate as disciples of Jesus. All right. Happy Wednesday, friends. Read those readings prayerfully. Turn off that screen. That is going to be the best thing you can do. Let's be praying for folks that are having a hard time. Pray for folks on spring break. God bless y'all.